The first thing is I'm saying back to them what they told me. So they now know I'm hearing them. That last part where I'm asking the question, right? That's a tie down. I'm now taking control of the conversation by asking the question. I'm also getting them to commit to what they want.
Anytime a client tells you what they don't want, make sure you ask them, well, if you don't want X or blank, then what do you want instead? So let's do an example of this. If you don't want to live in a highly taxed state, right, with a lot of regulations and a lot of challenges, then what do you want instead, right? Or if you don't want to live in an environment where there's hurricanes, or there's huge snowstorms, or there's all of these challenges, what do you want, right? And so, Jason, as a real estate professional in Boulder, Colorado, helping people buy and sell homes, what would you say would be a good example for this?
When someone says, "Oh, I don't want a big yard," the first thing I say is, "Tell me about that. What's a big yard look like to you?" Because, if you get someone from Texas that goes, "Oh, I don't want too big of a yard," it's like, okay, they're talking about an acre. Our not big yards are 1/10 of an acre. So it's a very different animal. So the first thing is getting clarity and speaking the same language and understanding. The second piece that happens is once we're on the same boat, if they're still talking negatives, I'll take their negative and turn it into a positive. So when they're saying, "Oh, I don't want a big yard," it's like, okay, so tell me how, after I know, what a big yard is or isn't, it's how big of a yard do you want? Okay, great. So you want a yard that you can basically have a little bit of landscaping, lock the door and leave for 3 months and not have to worry about, right? So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on right there in that one sentence. The first thing is I'm saying back to them what they told me. So they now know I'm hearing them. That last part where I'm asking the question, right? That's a tie down. I'm now taking control of the conversation by asking the question. I'm also getting them to commit to what they want. And lastly, I'm putting it as a positive. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that just went on in that little couple of sentences that becomes extremely, extremely powerful, that pulls back what we've discussed in the past and also what we're going to keep talking about in the future. So you'll keep wanting to tune in to see how that works.
Absolutely. And so I love the way you put that. And I think another good way to, when someone says what they don't want, like Jason's talking about, is to do mirror and labeling behind that. And so you could mirror, well, I know I don't want a big yard. And you would say, big yard, and like a curious tone, because again, you don't know what the big yard is. It's different for different people and different reasons. And then it would say, yeah, because, I used to have to, mow the grass or do all these things, or have to take care of, or have to hire somebody, and it's just overwhelming. And then you could label the emotion. So it sounds like you don't want something where it's so overwhelming. You want something a little more turnkey and less maintenance. And they could say, that's right. Right. And so you ask them, so what you do want is this. Is that exactly what you're going to say? That's right. And sometimes they don't even know until you've gone through the process of talking through this, the really what they want. Sometimes folks are starting with what they don't want, and then you're helping to guide them to the vision of what they do want, right? That's a part of consultations and sales. And so this is so important right here. You want to make sure that you get this answer from the potential client, the person you're working with. So you want to wait for as long as it takes, right? Because if you allow the prospect or the lead or the client to only share what they don't want, you'll have to guess at what they do want in the future. And then what happens is time starts to get squeezed. And as time gets squeezed, pressure starts to increase, right? And now you're increasing the risk of failure for the outcome for the client, the risk of failure for you to actually close the sale. And so it's so important that up front, they're clarifying what they do want, right? So that you and or they don't have to guess at it later or get frustrated later and waste a huge amount of energy or lead to mistakes or lead to just failure overall by setting the proper foundation.